All right, we're here with head coach David Dean ahead of the Gulf South Conference opener. West Shores are 2-0 going in to the Delta State game. Wolves versus Delta State this weekend. Coach will start with some comments and then open up for questions.
Well, looking forward to a tremendous challenge this week. First road trip. You know, I told our guys last night when we had practice, this is our first road trip, first Gulf South Conference, first afternoon game. So there's a lot of firsts that they go along with this. And it's a team that I think is playing very well, playing with a lot of confidence, as you can see on film. And they are, rightfully so, they're playing very well. And it's going to be a heck of a challenge for us, especially going into their backyard to play this game. So we're excited about it, but we know we got a tremendous challenge ahead of us.
Coach, how impressed were you to know that two of your special teams players were selected for a GSC?
Well, you know, we put a lot of emphasis on special teams, and I think from the other night, our special teams probably was something that was not the best that we could put out there on the field. But for us to have two special team players of the week is outstanding. You know, with a freshman being a kicker, he's done an outstanding job. He put up 3 big points for us there in the second half to kind of extend the lead for us. He hit it right down the middle. And then, of course, the punt return and the number of punt returns that JJ had. He gave us great field position. He had one return over 11 yards. He had the return for a touchdown, which everybody remembers. But a lot of times you take for granted what he does in catching those balls and keeping them from jumping down the field and losing field position. But I was awfully proud, and I know that if you talk to them, they say, well, there's other guys that are a part of that, and they understand that, and that's what we try to do. But really proud of those guys, proud of Trey, and proud of JJ for their Gulf South Conference recognition.
Coach, heading into Saturday, you're facing a very aggressive Delta State defense. Already have 12 sacks and 4 interceptions on the year. What's going to be your approach offensively to try to move the ball on the field on them?
Well, obviously we're taking a lot of emphasis this week on our pass protection and making sure that we're covered in every gap. You know, they bring a tremendous amount of blitzes. They do a great job on their blitzes. They're very aggressive in what they do, and they hide things very well. So we're going to have to be very sharp on the front and in the backfield, picking up all those blitzes. But we know that we're facing a team that is loaded with athletes. You watch them on defense, they run to the football very well. They get to the football very fast, and they come with a physical nature. So this is going to be a game that I think is going to be very physical. It's going to be a game that I think is going to be fun to watch because there's going to be a lot of good athletes out on the field. But from our standpoint, we've got to neutralize those things. We've got to take that rush aspect out if we're going to be able to throw the ball. And the thing that they're doing very well that probably is overlooked is you can't run the ball on them. They're giving up about 40 yards a game rushing, and that's what we like to do. We like to run the football. So our game plan may have to switch a little bit and be able to throw the ball and get the ball out of our hands and throw the ball down the field a little bit versus their man coverage type stuff.
Coach, since 2013, Delta State is 12-2 and ranked at home. What kind of challenge does that present for your team?
Well, that speaks for itself. You know, they play very, very well at home. It's a very tough place to play. You always battle wind conditions out there. In the Delta, the wind is always blowing. And so you got to be smart in how you take the ball and take the wind. So there's a lot that goes into it. But the bottom line is Delta State traditionally always plays very well at home. And that's one challenge that we face being on our first road trip. We probably would not choose to go to Delta State to play our first road trip, but that's the way that the cards have been dealt. So we have to do that. So we got to go in focused. I think the big thing for us is to get off to a good start. We can't allow them to build up a big lead on us. If they do, then we're going to be playing behind the 8 ball, and they're just going to pin their ears back and come after us, and we don't want to have that happen. If that's the case in the ball game, we're going to be in a lot of trouble from an offensive standpoint.
The Wolves have yet to give up a passing touchdown this year. How does that make you feel?
Well, obviously, I'm very proud of that. Our defense has played extremely well. They're going to be challenged this week. They've got a two-headed monster in the backfield. They got two great running backs back there. So we're going to be tremendously challenged in that aspect. But they also have a quarterback that's very dangerous. He's dangerous in the pocket. He's dangerous outside of the pocket. We got to control him and not let him get loose. And he's made a lot of plays running the football, and he's thrown the ball very well. And he's got a lot of weapons around him. So that stat right there is going to be challenged this week. We understand that we may give up a pass touchdown, but our big key is going to be able to stop the run, because that's what they have relied on this year. And it's a little bit different than what Delta has done in the past, because they've always been such a great throwing team. But it says a lot for their coaches and their players and how they've adjusted to the talent that they have there now. And, so our challenge this week is going to be able to stop the run.
Coach, obviously your focus is on Delta State for this week, but you're now entering a 3-week stretch of playing ranked opponents back to back to back. So it's just a matter of you guys taking it week by week versus entering the grind.
Well, it is, and honestly, we're probably in a 5-week grind, because if you go past that, you're looking at Valdosta State and West Alabama, who are probably, by the time that we play them, will be ranked also. So this is a heck of a 5-week stretch that we got going on. Fortunately for us, we play 3 of those 5 at home, and we don't really want to look past Delta State. We can't look past Delta State. If we do, then we're going to be sitting at a 2-1 and saying what happened. So from our aspect, we're concentrating more on what we need to do to win this week in Cleveland, Mississippi, as opposed to who we have down over a 4 or 5 week stretch.
Coach, with you not being able to take as many guys on the road, have you done or will you do any extra conditioning to get the guys ready for some extra snaps?
No, we're not going to do any. We're in pretty good shape right now as it is. We know that, and we talked about this on Sunday, that we're going to have to take only 60 guys as opposed to when we were dressing 82 guys in the last 2 ball games. So we know that some guys that have not been taking some special team snaps have now got to play special team snaps. And we realize that there's some guys that are going to have to take more snaps in the ball game. But I think from a standpoint of conditioning, I think we're in good condition. I don't think we need to do any more from that aspect. We just got to realize that we're going to be on the field a little bit more from position to position.
Coach, Delta State, they have an offense very similar to Miles. They had 421 rushing yards on the ground last week. So will you be able to carry over anything that you were successful with against Miles for Delta State?
Well, the main thing in stopping the run is playing your keys, getting off blocks, and getting to the football. And if we can string things out from sideline to sideline, we'll allow our speed to make up a lot of plays. And that's what we got to do. We can't let them crease us in a hurry and get in the secondary very fast. We've got to string everything out, and hopefully our speed will run a lot of things down. So there'll be a lot of carryover. Their run game is totally different than what we saw last week with Miles. But football, it all comes down to running and tackling and doing the fundamentals. So that's what our defense is concentrating on this week, is just being able to tackle very well, staying with their keys, and then making those big plays in the backfield, not letting them get loose down the field.
Delta State, they have committed 25 penalties over their first 2 games, 14 penalties last game for over 100 yards. So do you think you're going to try and add any extra wrinkles to your offense to try and get that defense confused?
Well, a lot of those penalties that they had were illegal procedure penalties, movement up front and guys moving while they were going in motion. So they were just kind of self-inflicted. It wasn't anything that the other team did or from an athletic standpoint where they were overmatched and had to hold and do anything like that. So, to answer your question from an offensive standpoint, no, we're really not going to do anything to try to create penalties. We've got to play our game. If they make a lot of penalties, then it's going to help us. If they don't make a lot of penalties, it's just going to come down to what basically football is all about, and that's blocking and tackling and so forth and so on. So we're just going to do what we can control, and that's our game plan, and executing what we think our kids can do best to beat Delta State.
And Delta State, they got 10 sacks last game. Do you think is there anything you can do to slow down that defensive pressure?
Well, like I said, we've got to we got to be sharp in our pass protection because they're very athletic, they're very quick, they rush the passer very well. They have a multitude of blitzes that cause some confusion, and that's where some of those guys are coming in and making plays. So from our front five and our quarterback and our running back, they've got to be all on the same page. We can't turn anybody loose because if we do, they're athletic enough that they're going to go back in there and they're going to wreak havoc in the backfield. So we've just concentrated on our assignments, doing our assignments, making sure our quarterback puts us in the right situation on every snap so we can pick up those blitzes that they bring.